The planet Zorath was a strange and dangerous place. Its sky was pale orange, and huge winds swept across barren plains. But the most striking feature of the planet was the river. It was wide and deep, flowing with liquid that glowed a dark red. The locals called it the Blood River. Scientists said the color came from rare minerals mixed with the planet's natural chemicals. Travelers said the river could pull ships down if they tried to cross without care. Many had tried before, but no one had succeeded. Kira stood on a small hill near the riverbank. She was human, and humans were rare visitors on Zorath. Her dark hair whipped around her face as the wind roared. She held a small device in her hand that measured the river's energy. The readings were strange and changing all the time. The river did not act like ordinary water. It moved in patterns that no one fully understood. Kira's eyes shone with curiosity. Humans had a way of facing impossible challenges, and this river was one of them. Around her, the team gathered. There were 5 of them. Leno was the engineer, quiet but always thinking about machines and repairs. Myra was the navigator, able to read stars and planets better than any map. Samir and Tola were explorers, strong and fast, trained to survive in harsh conditions. Finally, Rena was the scientist, studying the river's chemicals and strange minerals. Together, they formed a small, capable team. Kira spoke to them. This river is dangerous, but it is also the key. We do not know what is on the other side. The river has kept explorers away for centuries. If we succeed, we may discover something no one else has seen. Her voice was calm, but her words carried excitement. The team nodded. Each of them understood the risks. Each of them was ready. The first step was to study the river from the shore. Kira moved closer to the water. The red liquid looked thick and slow, but when a stone fell into it, the waves moved faster than expected. It was alive in a way, as if it had a mind of its own. Rena knelt to take a sample. The liquid burned her glove slightly, leaving a mark. She noted it carefully in her tablet. The river was not ordinary. The minerals in it might be dangerous, but they could also be useful. Leno was already sketching plans for a small vessel. The previous humans who had tried to cross the river had failed because their ships could not handle the currents. Leno believed a strong, light craft, combined with energy shields, could make the difference. We cannot fight the river with force, he said. We must move with it, understand it, and let it guide us while we control it. His words reminded everyone of the first rule: respect the river. Myra stood nearby, scanning the horizon with her binoculars. The river is wider than we thought, she said. At some points, it stretches for more than 3 kilometers. There are small islands, but they are too dangerous to land on. The current changes direction without warning. Any attempt will require perfect timing. Samir rubbed his hands together and smiled. Perfect timing is exactly what humans are good at, he said. Tola laughed. Or lucky timing, she added. Kira smiled at their banter. It was good to have humor in a dangerous place. Fear could slow people down, but laughter reminded them of their strength. That evening, the team camped near the riverbank. The red water reflected the pale orange sky, glowing under the setting sun. Fires could not burn on the rocky soil, so they used energy lamps. They ate simple meals of dried food and water. Conversation was quiet, but filled with excitement. Rena spoke about the minerals in the river. Leno talked about designs for their craft. Myra discussed possible routes and timing. Kira listened to all, thinking carefully. Every detail mattered. At night, strange sounds came from the river. Low hums and deep vibrations made the ground shake slightly. The team could feel it through their boots. No one slept much. Humans were not afraid easily, but caution was part of their nature. Kira stayed awake the longest, staring at the river. She wondered why it had not been crossed before. Other species had left messages, tried machines, even built small bridges, but nothing worked. Perhaps the river tested explorers. Perhaps it waited for someone who would think differently. Humans had a habit of seeing possibilities where others saw danger. The next morning, the team gathered to discuss the plan. Kira held a small model of their craft. It was light, fast, and equipped with energy shields. "We will try tomorrow," she said. "Our first attempt will be short. We will cross only a small section to understand the currents better. We will not rush. We must learn the river before we challenge it fully." Rena nodded. "The samples I collected last night show that the river's energy fluctuates every few hours. If we time it right, we may find calmer currents." Myra added, "Then we should start early, at dawn. The wind is slower, and the currents are easier to read." The team prepared their equipment carefully. Every rope, every tool, every shield was checked. Kira looked at each of them, feeling proud. Humans were not the strongest species in the galaxy. They did not have natural powers or superior technology. But they had something else: persistence, creativity, and courage. They could try again and again when others had given up. That was why humans had succeeded where many others had failed. As the sun rose over Zoroth, the river glowed even brighter. The team stood on the shore, looking at the red waves. Kira took a deep breath. The challenge was ahead, but she felt ready. Humans had a way of turning impossible situations into opportunities. The Blood River was dangerous, but it was also a test. And humans had never been afraid of tests. Kira whispered to herself, "Tomorrow, we will learn its secrets." The river continued to flow, silent but alive, as if it knew that something was coming. And humans, as always, were ready to face the impossible. The sun had barely risen over Zoroth when Kira and her team prepared for their first attempt to cross the Blood River. The red water shimmered under the pale orange sky. Its currents moved quickly, creating ripples that reflected light like molten metal. The team checked their small craft one last time. Leno adjusted the energy shields, making sure they would resist the river's strange pressure. Myra studied the stars and the horizon, even in the faint light, to plan their route. Samir and Tola tested the ropes and harnesses, ensuring everyone would stay safe. Rena secured the samples and sensors that would record data along the crossing. Kira took a deep breath. "Remember," she said, "this is not just a journey. It is a test. The river is alive. It will not let us pass easily. We move together, carefully, and we watch the currents. If anything goes wrong, we retreat. Safety comes first." The team nodded. Their faces were serious but determined. Humans had faced dangers before, and they trusted each other completely. The craft slid into the river. The red water clung to its hull as if the river wanted to slow it down. At first, the currents were calm. The team moved steadily, pushing against the liquid with mechanical paddles. The energy shields hummed, keeping the craft stable. Kira held the controls firmly, feeling the craft respond to the river's pull. Every small wave was a challenge, but she guided them carefully. Halfway through the first section, the river changed. The calm surface shifted suddenly. A whirl of red water formed ahead, spinning faster than anything the team had seen. Myra shouted, "Change course. To the left." Kira steered sharply, but the current was strong. Samir and Tola braced themselves, holding ropes to keep the craft steady. The river twisted and turned violently. The hum of the energy shields grew louder, straining under the force. Rena's sensors beeped rapidly. "The mineral concentration is increasing. The current is unstable here," she warned. The river was testing them. Kira knew this. Humans were not the fastest, nor the strongest, but they could think, adapt, and act together. She tightened her grip on the controls and gave directions clearly. Hold the left side. Leno, adjust the shield intensity. Myra, guide us around the spiral. The craft spun as it entered the whirlpool. Water surged over the edges, drenching the team. The red liquid smelled strange, metallic, and earthy. The craft tilted, and for a moment, it seemed as if they would be pulled under. But humans never gave up. Samir and Tola pulled ropes to balance the craft. Leno increased the shield power, creating a protective barrier around them. Myra's calm voice gave directions, and slowly, the craft moved out of the spiral's center. When they were free, the team gasped. Their hearts were racing, but they laughed too. We made it! Tola shouted, though her voice was still shaky. Kira smiled, knowing this was only the beginning. The river was dangerous, but the humans had proven they could survive it. They continued carefully, moving a little slower, testing the water, reading the currents. After several more minutes, they reached a small stretch of calmer water. Here, Rena took samples and recorded the river's energy levels. The current is calmer here, she said. We can rest for a few minutes and analyze data before moving forward. The team nodded and allowed themselves a short break. They sat on the edges of the craft, watching the red waves. The river was beautiful in a strange way. It was alive and powerful, but humans saw not only danger but possibility. Kira reviewed the plan. We learned a lot from the first section, she said. The river is stronger than expected. Its whirlpools are sudden, and the mineral concentrations vary. We must adjust our speed and shields as we go. This is not a battle we can win with force. We win with attention, coordination, and patience. Leno added, the craft worked well, but we need extra support for the next section. The currents are stronger ahead. The team continued, moving deeper into the river. They encountered more challenges. Waves grew higher, spinning currents appeared without warning, and the river's glow changed, sometimes dark red, sometimes almost black. Each obstacle tested the team's ability to work together. Humans did not panic. They adapted, repaired small damages quickly, and encouraged each other. Kira reminded them constantly, watch each other. Communicate. We are stronger together. But the river was not done. A sudden surge hit the craft from the right, tipping it dangerously. Water splashed over the shields, and the hull groaned under pressure. Tola shouted as she grabbed a rope, stabilizing the craft. Samir helped, and Myra steered with precision. Leno adjusted the shields, and Rena monitored the energy spikes. For a long moment, the craft teetered on the edge of disaster. Then, slowly, it stabilized. The team breathed heavily, feeling the strain of the river's challenge. They had crossed only a short section, but the experience was invaluable. The river had shown its power, and humans had responded with creativity, courage, and teamwork. They returned to the shore at the end of the section, exhausted but alive. The craft slid safely onto the bank. Kira helped everyone out. We learned a lot today, she said. This river is alive. It will test us again. But we are learning. That is the first step toward crossing it completely. Rena checked the samples and data. The river's energy shifts in patterns. If we can understand the timing, the next section may be easier. We need more observation and careful planning. Myra added, and we must prepare for surprises. The river is unpredictable. Even small waves can be dangerous. The team camped on the riverbank that night. Fires could not burn on the rocky soil, so they used energy lamps. They shared food quietly, each thinking about the day's challenges. Kira stayed awake the longest, watching the river glow under the pale moon. The Blood River was dangerous, but humans had faced danger before. They could survive harsh worlds, unpredictable storms, and strong currents. They could try again and again until they succeeded. Kira whispered to herself, tomorrow we go further. The river will test us again, and we will be ready. The red water flowed endlessly, mysterious and powerful. Humans would face it not with fear, but with courage and persistence. They would continue their journey, step by step, wave by wave, until they discovered the secrets on the other side. The next morning, the Blood River looked calm. The red water flowed smoothly under the orange sky. Kira and her team felt more confident after their first short crossing. They had learned the river's patterns, repaired small damages, and survived the whirlpools. But today, they would go further. Today, they would enter the heart of the river. Kira gathered the team. "We have learned from the first section," she said. "We know the river is powerful, and we know our craft works. But we must stay alert. This next section is unpredictable. Our goal is to move farther and gather as much information as possible. We may not reach the far shore today. We focus on survival and observation." The team nodded. Each of them had felt the river's strength, and each knew the risks. Humans were not the fastest or the strongest, but they were persistent, and they learned quickly. That persistence had always allowed them to succeed where others had failed. They launched the craft into the river. The water clung to the hull, dark and shiny. At first, the currents were gentle. Kira guided the craft steadily, while Myra watched the horizon for changes in flow. Rena monitored the energy sensors, recording fluctuations in the red water. Samir and Tola kept the craft balanced, ready for sudden movements. Leno adjusted the shields whenever the hull shuddered under pressure. After some time, the river's calm disappeared. Waves rose higher, and sudden whirlpools formed unexpectedly. Kira's heart raced, but she remained focused. "Brace yourselves," she shouted. The craft was pulled sideways by a strong current. Water splashed over the sides, wetting everyone. Samir grabbed a rope, holding the craft steady, while Tola tightened harnesses. Rena's tablet beeped loudly. "The energy spikes are stronger here," she warned. "The river is more active in this section. Minerals and currents are combining to create dangerous patterns." Kira nodded. "We expected this. Adjust shields and speed. We move slowly but carefully. Work together." The craft entered a narrow part of the river. The walls of red water pressed in on them from both sides. The current twisted, forming spirals that threatened to pull them under. Myra's voice guided them. "Left, now right, steady, steady." The team followed her instructions. Every movement was precise. Humans had learned to adapt quickly. Their minds worked faster than the river's power. Suddenly, a strong surge lifted the craft and threw it into a whirlpool. The hull groaned under pressure. The team was drenched as water splashed over them. Kira fought the controls, steering against the spinning current. "Hold on. Stay together," she shouted. Samir and Tola pulled ropes to stabilize the craft. Leno increased shield power, and Rena recorded data as the craft spun in the red water. Time seemed to stretch. The river's power was immense. But humans never gave up. Slowly, the craft began to move out of the center of the whirlpool. Kira adjusted the controls with precision, guiding the craft toward calmer water. Samir and Tola worked together, keeping the balance. Leno fine-tuned the shields, and Rena continued to observe energy levels. Teamwork was their strength. Finally, the craft emerged from the whirlpool. The river's surface rippled and shimmered, but the danger had passed for now. The team gasped for breath, shaking wet hair from their faces. Tola smiled, exhausted but happy. "We made it through the worst part," she said. Samir nodded. "But the river is not done with us. We need to stay alert." Kira looked at the red water stretching ahead. The river had grown wider, deeper, and more unpredictable. Strange minerals floated on the surface, glowing faintly in the sunlight. "We must continue," she said. "We are learning, and that knowledge is valuable. Each challenge teaches us more about the river and ourselves. They moved slowly, reading the currents and avoiding whirlpools. Rena recorded the energy spikes and mineral concentrations. Patterns are emerging, she said. The river is not random. It follows hidden rules. If we can understand them, we may predict dangerous areas and avoid them. Kira smiled. Humans had a natural ability to notice patterns and solve problems. That ability had allowed them to survive in difficult environments across the galaxy. After several hours, the river tested them again. A series of waves rose high, forming a wall of red water. The craft shook under the pressure. Samir and Tola held ropes tightly. Leno reinforced the shields. Myra shouted directions, guiding the craft between the waves. Kira's hands moved quickly over the controls. The team worked in perfect coordination. Humans had a way of thinking together in dangerous situations that gave them an advantage. Finally, they reached a section of calm water. The craft floated gently, and the team allowed themselves to rest. Kira looked around. The river stretched farther than they could see, glowing red and powerful. "We have come far today," she said. "But this is only part of the journey. We have survived the river's attacks, and we have learned how it behaves. That knowledge is as important as crossing it completely." The team took a short break, eating small rations and drinking water. They shared stories of previous missions and laughed quietly. Humor was a human strength, helping them stay calm under stress. Rena studied the samples she had collected. "The minerals are unique," she said. "They may be dangerous, but they also have energy potential. If we understand them, they could help us in our journey." As the sun began to set, the team prepared to return to the shore. The river had tested them, but they had survived. Kira guided the craft back carefully, retracing their route. Waves splashed, but they were ready. Humans had a way of learning from experience and applying it immediately. That ability gave them a unique advantage in dangerous environments. Once on the shore, the team stepped out, exhausted but satisfied. The river flowed calmly now, as if nothing had happened. Kira looked at the red water and smiled. "We have learned a lot today," she said. "The river is alive, but so are we. We are humans, and we do not give up. Tomorrow, we will go further, stronger, and wiser." That night, the team camped near the riverbank. Energy lamps lit the area, and small fires provided warmth. Kira stayed awake the longest, staring at the glowing red water. The river was dangerous, unpredictable, and powerful. But humans had survived its challenges. They had worked together, solved problems, and adapted to the unknown. Humans had a way of turning impossible situations into opportunities. Kira whispered to herself, "The river will test us again, but we will be ready." Humans do not stop. Humans find a way. The red water flowed endlessly, glowing under the moon. The river had struck back today, but humans had met its challenge. Their journey had only begun. The blood river was alive and strong, but humans were alive and stronger. The river would not defeat them, because humans had courage, creativity, and determination. The journey ahead was difficult, but humans were ready to face it, step by step, wave by wave, until they reached the other side. The morning sun rose over the riverbank, painting the red water with soft gold. Kira stood at the edge of the blood river, watching its glow. The team had survived 2 dangerous sections and learned much about the river's patterns. Today, they would rest and prepare. Tomorrow, they would attempt the full crossing. Kira called the team together. "We have survived 2 tests of the river," she said. "We learned how it moves, where it is calm, and where it is dangerous. Tomorrow, we cross farther than ever. But today, we plan carefully. We repair, rest, and study. Every decision matters." Rena opened her data tablet. The river's currents are strongest in the middle sections, she explained. Whirlpools appear suddenly, and energy spikes are unpredictable. But there are patterns. The river slows near hidden sandbanks, and minerals collect in lines we can see if we watch carefully. If we follow these safe areas, we can reduce risk. Leno checked the craft. The hull and shields took strain yesterday, he said. We need to reinforce the craft. Extra shield energy, rope supports, and weight distribution will help. If we make these adjustments, the craft can handle stronger currents. Myra studied the horizon and sky. Cloud patterns, wind direction, and even the sun's angle affect the river, she said. If we leave at the right time, the water will be calmer in critical areas. Timing is as important as strength. Samir and Tola unpacked tools and materials. They repaired small cracks in the hull, reinforced ropes, and tested harnesses. Every piece of equipment was examined. Humans had a way of preparing for challenges that made dangerous situations manageable. They thought ahead, adapted, and used every advantage. Kira walked among the team, checking each detail. We will need courage, focus, and teamwork tomorrow, she said. The river is strong, but we are human. We think, we adapt, and we act together. That is our strength. By midday, repairs were complete. The craft was stronger, and the shields more stable. The team took a break near the shore. They ate simple rations, drank water, and discussed strategy. Humor lifted their spirits. Myra joked about the river trying to chase them yesterday. Samir laughed, saying the river had no chance against humans. Laughter reminded them that even in danger, humans found a way to stay calm. As the sun moved toward afternoon, Rena began analyzing the river again. There is a sequence to the whirlpools, she said. They appear in intervals. If we move carefully, we can avoid the largest ones. I will mark a route based on the patterns. It will not be easy, but it is possible. Kira nodded. Good. Timing, skill, and teamwork. We follow the route, stay alert, and help each other. Every person has a role. Every action counts. Leno added, I suggest splitting shield power. One section of the shield handles large waves, another handles sudden pressure, and another stabilizes the hull. We can adjust as we move. The craft will respond better than before. Tola suggested, we can use ropes from the front and back. If a current pushes us sideways, we pull together to stay stable. Samir and I will manage the ropes while the others steer and monitor sensors. Teamwork will keep us alive. Myra studied the horizon again. I will guide the route visually. The patterns Rena observes will help me predict changes. Kira, you control the craft. Leno, manage shields. Rena, record data. Samir and Tola, handle ropes. Everyone must move in sync. The team practiced their roles on the shore. They moved ropes, tested shields, and simulated sudden waves. Each person learned the rhythm of the craft and river. Humans had a way of learning from experience quickly. They turned dangerous challenges into manageable tasks. As evening approached, the team gathered for a final discussion. Kira looked at each of them. Tomorrow, we face the river's heart. It will be difficult. We may encounter whirlpools, sudden currents, and energy spikes. But we are prepared. We have learned. We will move together, step by step. Trust yourselves and each other. That is how humans succeed. The team set camp for the night. Fires could not burn on the rocky soil, so energy lamps lit the area. The Red River glowed under the pale moon. Kira stayed awake longer than anyone, watching the water. She studied the patterns, listened to the hum of the river, and thought about the team. They were humans. They could survive, adapt, and conquer challenges. The Blood River was dangerous, but humans were stronger than danger. Night passed quietly. The river flowed endlessly, glowing faint red under the stars. Every ripple, every shimmer reminded Kira that humans were observers and learners. They saw what others might miss. They adapted quickly. They worked together. That was why they survived where others failed. At dawn, the team prepared to launch. The river was calm, but they knew that could change in a heartbeat. Kira reviewed the plan. We follow Rena's route. Shields and ropes in place. Move carefully, adjust to currents, and watch for whirlpools. Every action counts. Every person has a role. Together, we cross. The craft slid into the red water. The shields hummed, the hull shivered slightly, and the team held steady. At first, the river seemed calm, almost inviting. Waves lapped gently against the hull. But the team knew better. Humans had learned the river was never fully safe. They moved with attention, scanning for changes, ready to react. Minutes passed. The river flowed smoothly, and the team gained confidence. Then, suddenly, a shadow passed under the craft. The water's color darkened, and the current shifted violently. Kira shouted, "Brace yourselves. Hold the ropes." Samir and Tola pulled tight. Leno increased shield power. Myra guided the craft around a hidden obstacle. Rena recorded every energy spike. The craft survived the sudden surge. The team gasped, wet and tired, but relieved. "The river is testing us," Kira said calmly. "But we are ready. Humans adapt. Humans survive. Humans succeed." They continued, slowly moving along the marked route. Each wave, each current, each shimmer of red water reminded them of the challenge. But humans had patience. Humans had courage. Humans had teamwork. And that made all the difference. By late morning, the team reached a wider section of the river. The currents were stronger, but the route was clear. Kira adjusted the craft carefully. "This is the heart of the river," she said. "We stay focused. Move together. Step by step, we will reach the other side." The Blood River was alive and powerful, but humans were alive and stronger. They had prepared, repaired, and learned. They had courage, intelligence, and teamwork. And they would face the river's challenges without fear. The crossing would be difficult, but humans were ready. The Blood River widened as Kira's team entered its middle section. The red water glimmered under the sun, hiding dangers beneath its calm surface. The river was stronger here. Currents twisted unpredictably. Whirlpools appeared without warning. The river was alive and ready to challenge them. Kira held the craft steady. "Focus, everyone," she said. "This is the river's heart. Watch the patterns, follow the route, and stay together." Her voice was calm, but her eyes were sharp. She had led the team through dangerous sections before. She knew the river tested humans differently than machines or creatures. It tested courage, teamwork, and intelligence. Myra scanned the horizon, signaling changes in the water. "Left, now right," she instructed. Samir and Tola adjusted the ropes, pulling the craft against sudden pushes. Leno monitored shields, adjusting power to the wave's strength. Rena recorded every energy fluctuation, noting areas of danger. The first challenge appeared suddenly. A massive whirlpool formed ahead, spinning violently. The craft shook as the current tried to pull it under. Kira shouted, "Brace yourselves. We move around it." She steered with precision, using small currents to push the craft past the spinning water. Samir and Tola pulled hard on the ropes, balancing the craft. Leno strengthened the shields, absorbing the pressure. The team emerged from the whirlpool, hearts racing. "The river is stronger here," Tola said. "But we can handle it." Kira nodded. Humans had a unique ability to recover quickly, adapt, and continue after danger. They did not panic. They acted with intelligence and teamwork. That was why they survived. Minutes later, another challenge appeared. Energy spikes erupted from the water, sending small waves across the craft. Rena shouted, "Spikes ahead! Left side!" Kira adjusted the craft to avoid the strongest energy. Leno redistributed shield power, protecting the hull. Myra guided them around the danger, watching patterns that no machine could easily detect. The craft moved forward, slowly but steadily. The river's power was intense, but humans had patience and skill. Kira's team had learned from the first crossings. Every action, every adjustment, every observation mattered. They moved like a single organism, each part supporting the others. Suddenly, the water surged beneath the craft, lifting it higher than before. Waves crashed against the sides, and the hull shuddered. Samir yelled, "Hold the ropes! Balance!" Tola responded immediately, pulling in sync. Leno increased shield output. Myra guided Kira through the violent section, her voice calm but urgent. The craft stabilized, riding over the waves instead of being pulled under. Kira smiled briefly. "Good work. Humans adapt and survive," she said. The team was wet, tired, and shaken, but their spirits remained strong. Challenges only made them sharper, faster, and more confident. They moved deeper into the river. The red water reflected the sunlight in dazzling patterns. Strange minerals floated on the surface, glowing faintly. Rena pointed out the safest path through these floating lines. "Follow the gaps," she said. "The river guides us if we watch closely." Kira adjusted the craft accordingly. Humans had eyes, hands, and minds that worked together. That combination allowed them to see paths and opportunities others could not. Hours passed. The river tested them continuously. Small whirlpools, sudden surges, and waves threatened the craft. Every obstacle required focus, coordination, and calm action. The team had learned to trust each other completely. Communication was precise. Each person knew their role. Each decision mattered. Humans had a way of turning danger into opportunity through intelligence and teamwork. By afternoon, they reached the widest part of the river's heart. The currents were strongest here. Waves towered, swirling in unpredictable patterns. Energy spikes shimmered beneath the red surface. The team paused briefly, catching their breath. Kira spoke calmly. "This is the most dangerous section. Stay focused. Watch patterns, follow the route, and act together. We can do this." The craft surged forward into the wide currents. Waves pushed against the hull with immense force. Samir and Tola pulled ropes, adjusting tension constantly. Leno's shields vibrated but held firm. Myra guided the craft through narrow openings between whirlpools. Rena recorded energy data, noting spikes and changes. Suddenly, a massive surge lifted the craft into the air, throwing it sideways. Kira held the controls tightly, steering to counter the force. Samir and Tola pulled with all their strength. Leno increased shields to maximum power. Myra shouted directions, guiding Kira through the chaos. The craft survived the surge, though it rocked violently. The team gasped for air, wet and exhausted. "The river is testing every skill we have," Kira said calmly. "But humans adapt, survive, and overcome. We move together. That is our strength." They continued through the heart, carefully following the marked route. The river remained dangerous, but the team's confidence grew. Each successful maneuver reinforced their trust in themselves and each other. Humans had patience, courage, and intelligence. They could read patterns, respond quickly, and act as one. Late in the afternoon, they reached a calmer section in the middle of the river. The waves were smaller, and the currents more predictable. Kira allowed the craft to glide gently. The team took a short break, adjusting ropes, checking shields, and drinking water. Even in the river's heart, humans could find small moments to rest and recover. Rena smiled. "We are farther than we have ever gone," she said. "The patterns we have recorded will help us predict the river's behavior. We are learning faster than it can change." Kira nodded. Humans had a gift for observation and adaptation. That gift gave them an advantage in any dangerous environment. The sun began to lower, casting orange and red reflections across the water. The river glimmered, powerful and alive. Kira looked at her team. "We have entered the heart of the river and survived," she said. "Tomorrow, we continue toward the far shore. The challenges will increase, but humans have courage, teamwork, and intelligence. We will reach the other side." That night, the team camped on a small sandbank in the middle of the river. Fires could not burn safely, so they used energy lamps to light the area. The red river glowed under the moon. Kira stayed awake longer than anyone else, observing the flowing water. The river was dangerous, but humans had survived its heart. They had learned its patterns, faced its strength, and acted together. Kira whispered to herself, "The river is strong, but humans are stronger. We adapt, we survive, and we find a way. The far shore is within reach." The team rested, knowing that the hardest challenges were not yet over. But they also knew humans had courage, intelligence, and unity. The Blood River had tested them in its heart, but humans had met the challenge. They had survived the strongest currents, avoided whirlpools, and adapted to energy surges. Humans had patience, skill, and teamwork. They had learned that no river, no matter how powerful, could defeat those who moved together with courage and intelligence. The next day promised even greater challenges, but Kira's team was ready. They were humans. They had survived the river's heart. And they would reach the far shore, step by step, wave by wave, because humans always find a way. The morning light reflected off the red water, creating a shimmering path across the Blood River. Kira's team prepared for the next stage. The far shore was closer now, but the river was not finished testing them. Currents became unpredictable again, and hidden whirlpools lurked beneath the surface. Kira checked the craft and looked at her team. "Today we face the final obstacles," she said. "We are prepared. We are humans. We have learned the river's patterns. Trust yourselves and each other. Step by step, we reach the far shore." Myra scanned the river ahead. "Currents are shifting. Some waves are larger than yesterday," she reported. "We will need every skill we have. Watch patterns, follow the route, and adjust quickly." Rena analyzed the data tablet. "There are energy spikes in clusters. They appear randomly, but I can see a general rhythm. If we move carefully, we can avoid the strongest ones. Timing will be critical." Leno checked shield levels. "The craft is ready. Shields are at maximum efficiency. We can survive large surges, but we must act fast and smart." Samir and Tola tested the ropes. "We are ready to balance and stabilize the craft," Samir said. "No wave can throw us off if we work together." Kira nodded. "Good. Everyone knows their role. Today, the river will test our limits, but humans are stronger when we act as one." They launched the craft into the water. At first, the river seemed calm. Gentle waves lapped against the hull. But humans knew better. The calm was temporary. The river's strength was hidden until the right moment. Soon, the first obstacle appeared. A wide, swirling whirlpool blocked their path. Kira held the controls tightly. "Prepare. We move around it slowly," she ordered. Myra guided the craft, watching every ripple. Samir and Tola pulled ropes to maintain balance. Leno increased shield power. Rena monitored energy spikes. The craft spun slightly as it skirted the whirlpool, but teamwork kept it steady. Humans had patience and coordination that no machine could match. Step by step, they moved past the swirling water, their hearts racing but minds focused. Once clear, the river's next challenge appeared. Massive waves surged, taller and stronger than before. "Brace yourselves. Full shields!" Kira shouted. The craft rose and fell with the waves. Samir and Tola adjusted ropes with perfect timing. Leno directed shield energy to absorb the most force. Myra guided the craft along gaps between waves. Hours passed in this manner. The river tested them relentlessly. Every wave, every spike, every whirlpool required focus, courage, and teamwork. Humans had an advantage: they could learn, adapt, and act quickly. The craft moved like an extension of their will, each person contributing to its stability. By midday, the river narrowed again. Currents collided, forming unpredictable waves. The team paused for a moment, catching their breath and checking equipment. Kira spoke calmly. "We have survived the hardest tests. Now we face the final challenge. Focus, act together, and stay alert." Rena pointed to a sequence of energy spikes ahead. "They form a path. We can move through if we time each step carefully. One mistake, and the craft could be thrown off course." Kira adjusted the craft to follow the safe path. Myra's eyes scanned for sudden shifts. Samir and Tola pulled ropes in sync with the waves. Leno's shields absorbed every surge. The team moved like a single organism. Humans had the ability to combine intelligence, skill, and courage in ways the river could not predict. Suddenly, a massive surge rose beneath the craft, lifting it higher than any wave before. Kira held tight, steering carefully. Samir and Tola pulled ropes with all their strength. Leno increased shields to maximum output. Myra's calm voice guided Kira through the dangerous wave. The craft survived, shaking violently but intact. The team gasped for air, wet and exhausted. Kira smiled briefly. "Humans adapt, survive, and succeed," she said. Every member of the team felt pride and determination. They had faced the river's heart, survived its strongest waves, and now confronted its final obstacles. The path to the far shore became clearer. The waves were still strong, but predictable. Energy spikes occurred in intervals, giving them moments to adjust. The river seemed to respect their determination, allowing them a chance to reach the goal. Humans had the ability to turn danger into opportunity through observation and quick action. As they moved closer, strange red currents appeared, faster and more forceful. "Final challenge," Myra said quietly. "Stay focused." Kira nodded. "We move together. Step by step, wave by wave. Humans succeed because we do not act alone." The craft surged forward into the strongest currents yet. Waves pushed against the hull, spinning and lifting it. Samir and Tola pulled ropes tirelessly. Leno directed shields, absorbing the energy with precision. Myra guided Kira along gaps in the currents. Rena recorded every detail, preparing for future crossings. Minutes stretched into long, tense moments. Every wave required attention. Every movement of the craft depended on teamwork. The river tried to push them back, but humans had patience, intelligence, and courage. They moved steadily, overcoming the final obstacles. Finally, the far shore appeared. Rocks and sandbanks glimmered under the sun. The currents began to calm. Kira allowed the craft to glide gently toward the shore. The team's hearts raced, filled with relief and triumph. Humans had survived the Blood River. The craft touched the far shore. Kira shut down the engines. Samir and Tola released the ropes. Leno lowered shields. Myra scanned the river behind them. The red water continued to flow, alive and powerful. But humans had crossed it. They had faced danger, adapted, and survived. The team stepped onto the far shore. Wet, tired, and smiling, They looked back at the river. Kira spoke quietly, "We have crossed the blood river. Humans are strong. We adapt, we survive, and we find a way." Rena added, "We have learned from the river. We know its patterns now. Humans can face any challenge if we work together." Samir and Tola laughed with relief. "The river tried its best," Samir said. "But humans are stronger." Leno nodded. "Teamwork, courage, and intelligence won the day. No wave, no whirlpool, no energy spike could stop us." Myra looked at the flowing water and smiled. "The river is powerful. But humans have patience and skill. That is why we succeeded." Kira's eyes shone with pride. "We have survived, adapted, and crossed. Humans are never defeated when we act together. Today we faced the blood river, and we won." The team set up a small camp near the shore. Fires lit the area, and they rested after the long struggle. The river flowed behind them, red and powerful, but humans had reached safety. They had faced danger, worked together, and succeeded. As the sun set, Kira looked at the horizon. The blood river had been a test of courage, intelligence, and teamwork. Humans had met the challenge. They had survived the heart of the river, overcome the final obstacles, and reached the far shore. Humans had proven their strength once again. The blood river continued to flow, alive and untamed. But humans had crossed it. They had shown that courage, intelligence, patience, and teamwork could overcome any challenge. The far shore was reached, and the team had survived. Humans always find a way. The team stood on the far shore of the blood river, gazing at the flowing red water behind them. The sun dipped toward the horizon, painting the sky with shades of orange and gold. The river had tested them, challenged them, and tried to push them back, but humans had crossed it. Every member of Kira's team felt pride, relief, and wonder at what they had accomplished. Kira stepped forward, looking at the river's edge. "We have survived its heart and overcome every obstacle. Humans can endure, adapt, and succeed. This is proof," she said. Her voice was calm, but filled with strength. She knew that surviving the blood river was more than a physical victory. It was a test of intelligence, courage, and teamwork. Samir and Tola set down ropes and equipment, laughing with relief. "We made it," Samir said. "The river tried to stop us, but humans always find a way." Tola nodded. "Every wave, every whirlpool, every spike tested us. But we stayed together. That made all the difference." Myra scanned the far shore, noting the terrain. It was uneven and rocky in places, with patches of sand and strange plants growing near the water. "The river has its power here, but humans have learned from it," she said. "We can move safely now. The far shore is ours." Leno checked the craft and shields one last time. "The river is strong, but our teamwork was stronger. Humans succeed when we combine skill and intelligence." Rena examined the data collected during their journey. "The river's patterns are now clear. We can predict the energy spikes, the currents, and the whirlpools. Humans have learned from it. Knowledge makes us stronger." The team took their first steps onto solid ground. The sand and rocks felt firm under their feet. For hours, they had relied on the craft, their teamwork, and quick thinking to survive. Now, they could walk freely, but the lessons of the river stayed with them. Every wave they had faced had tested their courage. Every spike had tested their intelligence. Every whirlpool had tested their teamwork. Humans had passed every test. As they explored the far shore, Kira noticed strange red stones along the riverbank. Some glimmered in the fading sunlight. "These might be minerals from the river," she said. "They are strong, just like the river. Just like us." Myra found a cluster of plants growing near the water. "Life thrives even here," she said. "Humans survive, adapt, and learn from the environment. We can build, explore, and grow even in dangerous places. Samir and Tola helped gather small rocks to mark the path back to the river in case they needed it. We respect the river, Samir said. It challenged us, but it taught us as well. Humans learn and survive. The sun set completely, leaving a soft glow on the Red River. Kira called the team together. We crossed the Blood River. We faced every challenge and succeeded. But our journey is more than survival. It is about learning, growing, and proving that humans can overcome anything when we work together. Rena looked at the river one last time. Every spike, every whirlpool, every wave tested our limits. We recorded it all. Humans now understand this river better than it understands itself. Knowledge is our power. Leno nodded. We survived because we acted as one. Every person had a role, and every action mattered. That is human strength. Courage, intelligence, and teamwork cannot be defeated by any river or challenge. The team set up a small camp near the far shore. They lit energy lamps to provide light and warmth. Fires were not safe near the river's edge, but the lamps created a safe circle. Humans could adapt to any conditions, even without traditional comforts. Kira watched her team resting and preparing for the next day. We have proven something today, she said quietly. The Blood River is strong, but humans are stronger. We survive, we adapt, and we find a way. This is who we are. That night, under the stars, the team shared stories of the crossing. They laughed, remembered dangerous moments, and celebrated small victories. Every whirlpool survived, every wave overcome, and every energy spike avoided became a story of courage and intelligence. Humans had faced danger together and emerged victorious. The far shore was quiet. The Blood River flowed behind them, alive and untamed. Yet humans had reached safety. The team reflected on how they had adapted, learned, and grown through every challenge. Courage, intelligence, and teamwork had been their greatest tools. Humans were capable of surviving and thriving, even in the most dangerous environments. Kira stood by the river, feeling the red water rush past. The river will continue to flow, she said. It will test others, challenge them, and show its power. But humans will always find a way. We adapt, we survive, and we succeed. That is our strength. The team spent the night resting, knowing they had completed a remarkable journey. They had crossed the Blood River, survived its heart, overcome the final obstacles, and reached the far shore. Every challenge had strengthened their trust in each other and in human skill. In the morning, the sun rose over the far shore. The red water glimmered in the light. The team prepared to continue their journey beyond the river. The Blood River had tested them, but humans had won. They moved forward with knowledge, courage, and unity. Humans always find a way. Kira led the team along the far shore. Rocks and sand made walking challenging, but the team moved steadily. Myra observed the environment, noting safe paths and hidden dangers. Samir and Tola carried supplies and equipment, ready to respond to any obstacle. Leno adjusted shields and protective devices, ensuring the team's safety. Rena recorded data and observations, preparing knowledge for future explorers. The team walked together, sharing ideas and solutions. Every challenge they had faced on the river had strengthened them. Every success had reinforced their confidence. Humans could overcome danger through cooperation, intelligence, and courage. That was the lesson of the Blood River. Finally, the team reached a high ridge overlooking the far shore. From there, they could see the river stretch into the distance, powerful and red. Kira raised her hand. "We have crossed the Blood River," she said. "We have faced danger, adapted, and succeeded. Humans have proven their strength today. The far shore is ours, and the journey continues beyond." The team looked at the horizon, filled with hope and determination. The Blood River would always flow, but humans had crossed it. They had survived its heart, overcome every obstacle, and proved that courage, intelligence, and teamwork were stronger than any challenge. Humans always find a way. With the rising sun behind them, Kira's team stepped forward together, leaving the blood river behind. They carried its lessons, their experiences, and their triumphs into the next chapter of their journey. The far shore was just the beginning. Humans were capable of facing any challenge, surviving any danger, and creating their own path. The blood river flowed, alive and untamed, but humans had crossed it. They had survived, learned, and grown. They had proven the power of courage, intelligence, and teamwork. Humans always find a way.